Part 3. You will hear two first-year students, Rosie and Martin, discussing a project about sports shoes they are working on. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26. OK, Martin, before we plan our presentation for the project, let's discuss what we've done so far.
OK, Rosie. When the tutor gave us the theme of sports shoes to base our project on, I was not all that interested, but I'm starting to get into it. I've pretty much finished the research stage.
Me too. At first, I had no idea what to write for the essay, so I asked some senior students for advice, and they gave me some websites to look at, where I found some articles on sports shoes and got some ideas.
Yes, I searched for pictures of sports shoes online and applied them in my research. It's beneficial.
Right.
According to the project's requirements, we have to find an example for the research, and I've just completed this part.
What example do you use? You said you'd like to borrow a sample from the tutor.
That was my first thought, but I realized maybe the tutor wanted us to do our own thing, not copy. Then I cut off my old sports shoes and separated them into different parts, so that I could make a careful study of the internal structure.
It's a good idea.
Then I drew a diagram which could show precisely each part of the shoes. Through the research, I've found that sports shoes nowadays have significantly improved.
What do you mean?
For example, designers these days use better raw materials, which are not only durable, but also make the skin of feet breathe more easily. Moreover, they also take into account the factor of foot shape. But they've ignored the foot movement, which is essential for sports people.
Interesting. I think I can add this to the essay.
OK. Given that you've got most ideas for the essay so far, I think you can mainly finish the written sections of the project, and I can take care of every detail of the presentation. Does this appeal to you?
I'm OK with that. I prefer written work to give in a presentation.
That's good. What do we need to do next?
Well, according to the plan, we will give a presentation next Wednesday, and before that, we'll have to finish the questionnaire left by the tutor, and I think we can handle it this weekend.
OK. Do we have to do some face-to-face interviews?
The tutor said that would be for the next assignment, not this one.
OK. Then about the presentation. I remember in the last tutorial, the tutor advised us to use some slides to make the presentation more attractive. But I'll also need a whiteboard because I like writing or drawing when necessary.
We can ask our tutor for help. He might have one and can lend it to us.
Right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30. Well, Martin, let's go through the draft of the essay together and see whether there are any changes we have to make.
Okay, Rosie. I think the summary gives a brief and precise description of the project's main ideas. Where will it go?
I'd like to put it at the end of the essay. What do you think?
Good idea. And I think the result part describes in detail what the research has achieved. But I'm wondering whether it should go directly behind the part of the research, as they are closely related.
Yes, I think that'd be better. I'll move this part. Then, the conclusion, I'm wondering whether I've used too many technical terms, which other students might struggle with.
You're right. Not everyone will be familiar with the subject.
So I think we could replace them with straightforward explanations.
I agree. Lastly, the discussion. I like this part as it presents a series of questions that we can talk about with other students after the presentation.
Yes, but I think the questions look messy and need to be better sequenced. Maybe we could arrange them in a list.
Okay, that'd be better.
All right. That's all about the essay. Now let's talk about the presentation. That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3.